Hi, Oana. Great seeing you. How are you doing today?
Hi, Nikita. Well, it's one of the most stressful period of the month
Oh,
because we have a lot of projects in preparation, and the entire team is focused on preparing them, signing them. Some are still under the assessment period, but yes, we have a so-called pressure
yeah.
from customers and from our side to be quick um, and prepare for publishing.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that's great news for investors. They'll have more projects to choose
Yeah.
from, and that's great. So today I wanted to speak a bit more about your experience, how you joined Lande, why you decided to join us, and what changed from the period when you joined Lande, and maybe what
Mm.
you saw happen before. Just feel free to express yourself.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, next month I will celebrate 1 year at Lande. I don't
Nice.
know. I really don't know how the time passed and when. So yes, I joined Landa last year, and I was super happy to take over a company that was well established at that time. So a portfolio already in growing, and
Mm,
a sales team, and okay, a portfolio from the previous team that was behaving in different ways that I was expecting.
mm.
So, what I would like to say, please.
Yeah. So I just trying to draw the timeline. So I think we entered Romania in 2023, and you
Yeah.
joined in 2025. So it was maybe 2 full years on the market. And I'm trying to remember the portfolio. I don't have the data on my hand, but maybe what do you think? Around 5 million was issued, or at the time
Around
outstanding?
5 million,
Yeah, when you joined.
around 5 million, and now we have almost 8 million euros
Mm,
already in active portfolio, and already almost 15 million euros during all these years. So
mm.
this is why I'm saying that at the time it was already a portfolio, an existing portfolio from which we started to grow.
Yeah, so yeah, 5 million is already something you can work with. Yeah, I guess
Mhm.
there was a team established already when you joined. Who was in the team? What type of departments were present?
Uh, yes, and I inherited
Hmm.
one of the core strengths that we have right now, which is our sales team. They are already having 2 years at Lande, and what I've seen during this period, during the last year, is that they gain more experience with the calls, with the customers, with assessing the customers, and I think the most important thing is that we are focusing only on farmers, and this brings a lot of knowledge during, day by day, speaking with the same type of customer. It allows you to quickly understand if there are green flags or red flags, cross-checking what the customer is saying with what you have as documents or info from other sources. So I see that the sales team, which is now composed by three girls and an additional new salesperson which is in training right now. So they gain this experience. It changed during the this 1 year the way they assessed requests from
Mm.
customers up to today. And one important thing is that just imagine that each salesperson is discussing with at least 200 new customers per month.
Mm.
When you
Yeah,
have this, this
that's a lot.
experience,
Yeah.
it's a
So
lot.
what's I think the very often questions from investor is what is the percentage of accepted applications uh, in Romania? Like you said, 200.
Mm,
You had free sales, so it's almost 600 applications maybe.
600.
So,
Yeah.
and I guess the deal amount is not very
The
amount. So it's a
deal,
very small percent is accepted, right?
exactly. So we are issuing somewhere between 12 to 20 projects per month. So
Mm.
in average, it's somewhere 700,000 euros in average.
Yeah, yeah.
But we are aiming more. So
Mm.
this is
So
why
I
we are
guess
strengthening.
if you're getting, so let's calculate, if you're
Mm.
getting 600 leads, you get so 1% would be six clients. You said 12, 20, so it's 2 to 3% is acceptance rate, right?
Yeah,
So only
yeah,
2 or 3%.
yeah.
And I want to ask you why is that, but let's firstly start with what did you
Mm.
when you arrived, when you just started joined Landa last year, what did you see and what did you decided to change in the company? Because historically, the data shows that Romania was with a higher default risk than it is now.
Mhm.
So please share with us how it was achieved and what policies you
Yeah.
changed.
So it took me like 3 months to understand what needs to be changed, or strengthened, not really changed. But we did two things. One was to understand what happened during enforcement of the defaulted portfolio, which were the reasons for defaulted loans. And from this assessment, we understood that we need to strengthen our legal agreements, to correct some words, to correlate them more with the Romanian regulation, in order to avoid challengings in the court, because we had, if you allow me just to say that, we um, we have court approval for all of our enforcement, apart from one single loan
Agreement.
agreement, which was issued in the early stages of the company. So that is one single case. And not only this, but we also approved all the challenges. I mean, we
Yeah.
we
So.
went in the court, and we gained against the customer who challenged our enforcement.
Mm.
And this is very important, because that means that the Romanian court acknowledges our business model, and our agreements are enforceable titles. And we have history right now that we can prove for future. But still, we could see in the challenges which were the vulnerable parts. So we readapted our agreements in order to avoid future challenges on the
Mm.
same point. And another thing was related to the collateral. So because we couldn't enforce harvest like in real
Right.
life, and
Sure.
also animals, when we had it have them as collateral, we decided not to take them anymore, only in cases where we can see we are having another source of income for the customer to pay, and for very small amounts, like up to 10,000 euros. So
Hmm.
we don't take this type of collateral for higher amounts. And second, we choose to switch and to increase, actually, the real estate, the immovable collateral, because the immovable collateral is the most valuable and liquid one. Because for the machinery, in the enforcement, you need to investigate to see. I mean, the procedure in Romania is very it's not very difficult, but it's a bit more difficult, let's say, than maybe in other
Hmm.
countries. You need to go there with the police. You need to see the machinery that it exists. You need to take it with a platform and to with a
Yeah,
dedicated
yeah,
platform for this type of machinery, and then deposit it and then remarketing it. So it takes a lot of cost and effort. While when you have land, is just auction after you do all the steps
sure. Yeah, you
before
don't
we
need
can
to move
foster them.
immovable property, and yeah, sure.
Exactly, exactly. And
But you still do
one
some
important
machinery, right?
we
But
do, yes,
in
we
some
do,
cases. But maybe what
we
changed?
do.
How did you assess currently? What is accepted right now, considering all these potential issues with longer debt collection procedure?
So we switched to attract more, as I said, real collateral,
Hmm.
real immovable collateral. And one important key is that we increased the number of projects collateralized by land. If in 2024 was 48%, now
Hmm.
in 2026 is 80%.
Oh, so you want to say
81
that
exactly.
eight loans out of 10 are backed by real estate in
Yes,
Romania right now. Oh,
yes,
that's I think
yes.
the highest proportion across all markets for lande, even in the Baltics. That's really yeah, impressive. But my question was actually, you
Mm,
still do some machinery loans, and I
yeah.
understand that it's the policy is much stricter now. Okay, your first priority is of course real estate, but still some in some cases machinery. But maybe how it is different now than it was 2 years ago when we just started.
Well, we decided to split the type of machineries by aging,
Okay.
and apply a different LTV for these types of machinery. So if we are approving a project only with machinery, and maybe there are two, three machineries that we are pledging, if one is above 5 years, we will apply a lower
Okay, so it's
LTV.
not
So it's
only
a
just LTV, but LTV based on age of machinery. So
exactly.
right now, the maximum LTV for older machinery is how is it? Maybe what is, for example, maybe if you recall from your mind, maybe if it's I don't know, 7 or 10 years old machinery, what could be the maximum LTV for this older machinery?
The maximum LTV is below 50, and
Yeah,
the
but for the
smallest
oldest,
LTV is 30.
it's 30. Okay,
And
so
yeah,
for some
yeah,
elder machines, even less, it's 30, but maximum, yeah,
yeah.
still, it's.
And
Mhm.
I would add that we are piloting right now to find that to start financing new machinery with the highest or the largest machinery seller in the market is the seller for New Holland in Romania.
Mm, okay.
It is a bit different as a type of contract, because we need to sign also with them like a three-party convention to be able to pledge the machinery from the very beginning,
Hmm.
even when from the moment we are signing the loan agreement,
Right.
and to publish it. So we have one project already signed with them.
With new machinery.
um, with new machinery, yes,
Oh,
yes.
great. Yeah.
It is a bit, a bit of bureaucracy to be done, but
Hmm.
once we prove that we can finance their customers, and we are listed along traditional leasing companies and lenders
Hmm.
on their website, and we gain trust from their salespeople,
Yeah.
it's a huge gain for us, because
Also for the
we
brand itself, right?
also
Just
for the
for
brand
trust.
itself. Yes,
Hmm.
yes.
Great job.
So yeah, we did
Perfect.
this because yeah, we want to increase for machinery also the portion of new machinery that we are financing.
Of course. Of course.
And what we are trying to do right now, and this is our research started this month, and probably we will finish it next month, is to create a partnership with the field collectors in the market that are dedicated for agriculture, because there are companies in the market who are making hard collection and going in the field and take machineries, but there is just one that is specialized in agriculture and has the entire
Mm.
infrastructure to do it. So we had the first meeting with them, and we are in process to sign an NDA and to have a first analysis of our defaulted portfolio and
Hmm.
see how we can continue.
Okay, okay. Great. Sounds great. Yeah. So it looks like we're progressing day to day, not even year to year. Um,
Yeah.
we didn't cover actually your experience because I guess people will be curious to hear about that.
I have 20 plus years of experience in the banking and non-banking financial system, half of them in sales, half of them in head office, covering operational product
Hmm.
management processes, and also in the last 10 years working in microfinance segment for the largest non-banking financial institution
Hmm.
dedicated for farmers. So I gain
Yeah,
uh,
that's a key point, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, and why I joined Lande, I was amazed by the level of transparency that Lande has
Hmm.
with quarterly reports and towards everyone. I mean, everyone in the market, if they are entering our website, they can see our evolution in terms
Hmm.
of portfolio management, in
Yeah.
terms of growth, which is way more transparent than any other company in this business in
Hmm.
Romania. So I know very well the market in of agriculture and all the problems that the farmers are facing in Romania, especially, and also the regulation for farmers and all other competitors, and how
Hmm.
the farmers needs to be understood, because it's so different than any other industry. You
Of
need to
course.
understand the seasonality, you need to understand when they need money, when they get money.
When you need to get the payments.
Exactly, exactly. And now
Wow.
we are
Yeah.
preparing for the season, the payment season, because they will start harvesting in Romania. Because I don't know if I've told you, but the rapeseed is like the star in Romania
Mm.
this year. So
Wow.
I expect great results in
Amazing.
payment.
Yes,
Yeah,
we that's important. Yeah. We are also, kind of watching from the side because Romania has much earlier harvesting seasons than in the Baltics. For us, it's
yeah,
August, maybe sometimes early September even. But for you, it's already June, July, and you get the money flowing. So it's really
yeah.
actually good also for the investors and land the cash flow that one market is repaying money earlier, than the other, and it goes gradually. It's better than everything at once. So, so it's actually
Yeah.
a big benefit for us. Yeah,
Good point. I,
and
I never, thought it like this, but you were right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
that's perfect. Yeah.
we are not overlapping. We are sequential.
Yeah, and this is also curious to understand it because we're not located so far away. I guess a flight to Riga is for you. How long is it? 2 hours or 3 hours maximum? I
Two
guess
hours
two
and
two
a
and a
half.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in seasonality, it's a month. It's a big difference. So
Yeah.
we live on an amazing planet. Also, my question was, since your last experience was 10 years in agricultural non-banking lending institution, and it was also the largest non-banking institution in Romania, how it is different right now at Lande versus that company, maybe how we do origination and business, because Lande's business model is new for Romania and it is unique. So I'm
Mhm.
curious to know, like, how do you view it? What are the key differences for us in them?
Well, there are differences, but also similarities.
Okay.
I will start with similarities. The way we are conducting the assessment of the project owner is almost the same. I
Mm.
mean, we are searching the same databases. We are asking for the same documents because we already know what types of documents we need from the farmers to understand their financial situation, and we apply the cross-check questions. I mean, we are having one or two interviews, sometimes three interviews with the customer in order
Mm.
to understand and cross-check all the
It's
information
like
that
an
we gather.
interrogation.
You know what? It's not interrogation, but it's somehow the
No, like in a
same
good way, that to
in a
double check
good
the
way,
information,
yeah.
of course, yeah. Because if
And
client needs
we
funding, he can, provide any kind type of information, right?
exactly,
So,
exactly. And this is one
mm,
of the key points. I mean, if they are open to respond and they can quickly respond to some red flags that we see in the documents, and they are prepared and they know their business, this is a good
yeah,
thing that we are, checking on our checklist.
of course, of course.
um, the difference is on the way that we are discussing with the customer. So everything is happening online until signing, and
Mm.
this is the best approach for them, for farmers, because they are on the field, in the field. Sorry, they respond to us while they are in the combine, in the tractor,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and they are sending the documents quickly to us, and uh, this this approach is more, appropriate in this period than the approach that the traditional lenders are doing. They are making first a visit or asking the
Right.
customer to come to their office. They are more community oriented, and they
Mm.
have a lot of people in the field doing the assessment on the field.
Mm.
um, and this is beneficial for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we
Yeah, for the client
can,
as well, yeah.
and for the customer, because
Mm-hmm.
you know what, we are trying to respond super quickly because we know that they need money in an instant.
Right, right.
Yeah, if they need to buy fertilizers, inputs, gas, they are explaining, I need money now because
Mm-hmm.
after, otherwise, I will harvest soon.
Yes, yes, of course, yeah.
Yes.
You touched upon a topic of gas, and here is a hot topic of gas prices. So,
Mm.
what's the situation in Romania with the gas prices? Maybe even you can share for you individually, for people, and for farmers. Like, what is the situation?
I will start with a joke. I don't I'm not I don't know, heated by the gas, because I lost my license, my driving license last month. So I'm not
Okay,
impacted.
so now you ride the bike. You ride for free, right? Okay, okay.
um, yeah, so in Romania there were some governmental measures taken to subsidize the
Mm.
gas. So
For
they
people or for farmers or for both?
for farmers, for only for farmers.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, it was very important for them, and it was applied 1 month and a half ago. So it's already happening for them. Yeah, it was, when the war started, it was a period of 1 or 2 weeks when the entire market was freezed because farmers needed gas, and they were rejected by the
Yeah, yeah.
oil companies to buy gas because they didn't have it, or they were waiting for the
For the
measures,
prices, right? Yeah,
for
or
the
for the measures,
prices.
yeah.
Yeah, and they
Mm-hmm.
were somehow forced to buy it from the retail market where the
Mm.
prices were super high. But then after these measures, everything went back to normal. Even though the
Mm.
price was still high, but the normality for them to be able to buy gas at a lower price than the price listed for retail. And now the
Right.
prices went a bit back, so they are
Hmm.
not in the highest peak
Okay.
in this period. So it's even better.
So, uh, to be honest, not many questions on my plate, but maybe you can share your future outlook for the volumes or for anything you wanted to share. Maybe your goals, your aims, your ambition, or whatever you like.
You know, I am an ambition person. As an individual in my private
Mm.
life, I'm the same way. So here at Lande, my goal is to strengthen the team even more. uh, I didn't have the chance to share a bit about the team. So we have the sales team, we have a portfolio manager. She's coming also from the farming industry, from the financing industry, and she was an underwriter. She was head of underwriting at this company, so she understands very well the farmers, and she's in a constant collaboration with our customers from portfolio to detect if there are any problems earlier, or
Hmm.
to keep them close to us and offer a new project if they need money. And also on the legal side, we strengthened already our team with an internal lawyer.
Hmm.
It's a girl, it's a woman as well. So she's a pleading lawyer, actually, and she used to work with us as a collaborator for enforcement and insolvency. And previously, she worked in the banking and non-banking system, handling more than 1,000 files in enforcement, and also
Mm.
assessing projects, loans actually for approval.
Right.
So she's highly experienced. She knows very, very well the Romanian regulation
Yeah.
for everything, like the Romanian civil law and
Right.
enforcement
That's
law.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, so together with her, for the future, because you asked about the future, we are trying to teach the market about our business model. This is one of my goals, because right now, even though we have a regulation for crowdfunding in Romania, it is not very well known by the institutions or by notaries, for example. And we want to start teaching the notaries, going to the
Yeah.
notary union, and create awareness of our business model.
Mm.
And in terms of sales, our goal and
Increase the
my goal
volumes.
for yeah, increase the volumes
Mm.
month by month. Of course, adapted to the season, because farmers are, they need money in the two big seasons, in the
Of course.
spring and autumn. But still to be close to them, and to be able to issue more than 1 million euro in projects per month. This is
Per
my goal.
month. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's,
for this year.
I haven't. Yes, for this year. Yes, of course. Of course. Next year already 2 million at least for per month,
Yeah,
for sure.
and I will add only one another thing. Yes, is related also to awareness. In Romania, we are part of the Romanian FinTech Association, and
Hmm.
under this association, we have a working group dedicated for crowdfunding. So we started to create this group to share experience between us, because in Romania there are only three platforms dedicated for crowd lending, our core
Hmm.
business. And we want to become like a voice, and to create the legal framework, to align our legal framework, not to land it work in one way with the agreements, assign the agreements in one way and others in different ways. So in order to align our approach towards
Yeah. Okay.
projects.
Perfect. Perfect. That's great. Yeah, you're developing in all directions to legal, debt collection, origination, everything. That's great, and each year we're getting better. Um, I need to ask you one difficult question, which investors will not forgive me if I will not ask.
Oh.
So, okay, you joined 1 year ago, but there were already some previous portfolio. Do you expect some losses or write-offs from that projects? And
Mm,
also for the future part when you joined, maybe. What are your projections, speaking honestly
well,
and directly?
probably there will be probably 2, 3 projects for which we need to do write-offs,
Mhm.
because there
Is
were
it a
difficult
full
cases.
project or a partial recovering? What's your opinion?
3 of them for sure are full projects. I mean, the
Hmm.
entire principal and interest was not paid,
So you
but
don't see a
these
chance to
are
recover there. And
no.
these are the early projects,
They are
I
early
guess.
projects, yes,
Hmm.
yes, and we tried all the different ways. We also have a field collection officer hired in our team.
Right.
So we visited with him. We investigated with other companies, the recovery
Hmm.
companies, if they have the same customer in their portfolio, and indeed we received from them that it's impossible to recover. So
Right.
even them are dropping the collection
Sure, sure. I understand.
process.
Yeah. Yes, this is
So
an early stage.
unfortunately, yeah,
Okay. I guess it's still a small percent. And what about the current origination? What are your expectations, maybe on the default rate or on how much more sure you are about the portfolio which we issued when you came, comparing with the previous one, which you inherited before?
we managed to decrease the principal that was defaulted with 20%. So in the last 10 to 7, 10 months.
Okay, so historical
Seven
defaults,
months.
right?
So
Hmm.
historically, yes, the
Yeah, yeah.
historically defaulted principal already decreased with all the measures that we took in the enforcement process. But in terms of the portfolio, the current portfolio that is not defaulted, we are in the. I'm positive about it because
Hmm.
we've made these decisions in taking collateral, but also we are in monthly in constant contact with them because
Hmm.
we added another feature to call them monthly,
Okay, so
even
monitoring,
though they're
yeah, stricter
even though
origination, monitoring, right, and stricter debt collection. So I guess that's enough to know for investors. I know that people like always more specific things and the directness, and they appreciate that. So could be few older projects, maybe first year projects write-offs, but small percentage and better quality right now due to strict origination. 80% of the loans, at least this year, backed by land,
yeah,
monitoring, stronger lawyer and stronger enforcement procedures, new collection partner. So already a lot of improvements in such a short term by
yeah,
you joining the team. That's impressive. And from my side, I fully believe that the results will be and the quality will be better. And investors, let's them judge from the content and from the performance.
thank you.
Okay. So I think let's wrap up. Uh, and thank you for sharing this information and knowledge and for introducing yourself to also to the community so people know who is running the Romanian market, which grew by 50%, I mean, in terms of portfolio in 1 year.
Yeah,
So this is also impressive. And the team, everything, yeah, a lot of work put in. And we see, yeah, great project progress and expect even more in the future. Thank you.
thank you too. It was a pleasure.